everybody. This is my bear. This is our rescue. It's a year and a half old. That is vicious as can be, but only 45 pounds. Everybody knows I've been a Macy's Day clown. Everybody knows I've run with the Bulls, different things like that. So who am I? I'm your bow tie banker, residential mortgages at Citizens Bank, where, we all have our why. Well, my why is basically going to be, goes around and it revolves around my family, as it most should. So as I showed you Bear, we got my wife, Louisa, my son, William, and my daughter, Isabella, who are both active in New York City, both with artistry with my son and singing with my daughter through Apollo and other events. Well, that's the background of who I am, but I mean, that's the background of the family, but who am I? Well, I started off born and raised in Maryland, went to college in Virginia, came back to the University of Maryland, College Park, graduated with business. And along the way, I lived in St. Croix, spent a summer in Germany, lived in Hawaii at first, and then found my way back to New York City as I wanted to get back into finance, getting a job first at that Morgan Stanley position in the back office in Brooklyn, and then moving into 1585 Broadway, where we used to have our meetings. Realizing that operations was not my thing and sales was a little bit more my energy, I moved into the mortgage business. Very exciting. Back in 2005, you could fog a mirror and get a mortgage. But I was coming from a background of what they call A paper, borrowers that had great credit, were competitive in pricing. So I decided to make my career on, I want to give you excellent rates, excellent service, and not make as much as I possibly could, but yet be able to deliver everything that is expected. And that saved me through 2008, 2010, when the market basically had a seizure and stopped lending for a period of time. I was able to bounce back and grow my business. This is my third position at Citizens Bank, where I've landed today. And a lot of that's revolved around, why did I pick Citizens? Well, from being a mortgage broker and having a lot of different banks to then going to work for a bank, Citizens Bank is offering the triple P factor: programs, products, and pricing. Well, during the pandemic, a lot of lenders have cut off their guidelines, have reduced their loan to value, increased their reserve requirements, or just cut their funding altogether. No more interest only, no more construction lending, no more opportunities for borrowers that are having low credit to get those mortgages. Well, the programs that we've kept in place are that. We've kept in place the FHA loans for, excuse me, for those 3.5% down borrowers, or those with some diminishing credit scores, looking to build that back up. We offer loans for veterans, the VA loans, 100% financing on mortgages up to as much as you like, to basically up to the loan limits. We also offer those programs I mentioned before, the construction lending. So say you have a breakthrough apartment, you bought the neighbor's unit, and you want to break down the wall and do the construction and build that in. We can. Or today's competitive market, you're looking to move out of the city and buy a new single family home, but it needs work. We can finance 100% of that construction cost and still in the end retain a 20% equity position from a one-time spot. And that's one of our bigger programs I'll kind of identify right now, is that construction lending program. So if you have a house that you need $100,000 of work done, we'll lend 20% of that net value. So if it's a $500,000 property, you put 100,000 in, we'll lend 80% of that 600,000 final value. What does that mean? That means that we have a one-time close. You lock in your 30-year fixed rate mortgage now, and in 12, 18 months when the construction is finished, you then are sitting pretty with just a converted loan into that 30-year fixed program with today's rates, but finished in a year, 18 months from now. It's a really big program right now, as lenders have taken away their construction lending opportunities. Citizens Bank has retained ours to be able to bring in and help out clients that need that benefit of either renovation or ground up construction. Another line of programs that we have are going to be for interest only, where again, some of these bigger banks just don't have that availability to just continuously offer interest only programs, or they've cut their down payment requirements. We still do 80% to 2 million. So mostly finance folks want to do an 80% to 2 million loan on an interest only, because they're going to be bonus heavy at the end of the year and they want to pay down that mortgage and benefit from the lower monthly payments. Other programs such as the low down payment, the bigger one also, which I'm neglecting to mention, is our non-warrantable buildings. So if there's a property, a project that doesn't meet the necessary requirements for Fannie Mae or the conventional lenders, we can put it into a temporary non-warrantable program. There's no adjustment to the rate. We're able to finance the loan and just put a temporary kind of warning on the loan to make sure that the characteristics of the borrower supersede the lack of what the building offers as far as their financial stability. It's a great pairing for borrowers that are overqualified, want to buy in a building, but the building doesn't have the bones. It just doesn't have the makeup of meeting the conventional requirements for current lending environment. And then after we move away from the programs, we go into the products. I touched about interest only. We do 90% financing up to $2 million. So if somebody is looking to leverage their property, we can still do that. First-time home buyers are great. Closed a mutual client with Francis the other day. We were able to get into their condo, save their money by only putting 10% down to be able to allow other funds to do any renovations or any kind of interior design behind the scenes, and keeps that liquidity in their hands. Over time, if they want to pay down that loan, you get rid of the mortgage insurance, or you can just refi down the road. There's no prepayment penalty. The products that we offer were not changed or pulled back on due to COVID and the pandemic. The only two components that were pulled back were cash out on an investment property and cash out on a second home. Other than that, Citizens Bank has maintained their full breadth of lending programs and products to make sure that we're meeting those consumers' needs and that we're able to match up with the current market. Now, we do extra diligence on the underwriting. If you're self-employed, we're going to look at the most recent 3 months and how that's been affected, how you've been affected by the pandemic to ensure that you continuously have that ability to repay the loan, but we're still lending. And that's the biggest important part. And that final P, which is the most important, because you can be all great and amazing, but if you don't have the pricing, if you don't have the rate, you're going to be out of the market. One of the reasons I moved to Citizens Bank from the mortgage broker world, the rates were not as impressive. And the rates were getting a lot better with the bigger banks. When Citizens, if you open up a checking account, you get 0.125 off the rate. If you have a $250,000 relationship account with Citizens Bank post-closing, you get another eighth off the rate. 500,000, you get a quarter off the rate. It continues on the more you build a relationship with the actual bank you're working with me, versus being a mortgage broker where you're just throwing it out to whoever's got the kind of program that fits the need. And the pricing is even sharpened further, that not only we're competitive with the other big banks such as the Wells, the Citibank, the B of A, but if you're able to show me a rate quote from one of those lenders, we'll match it. So again, it's that old cliche from the 80s, when lenders compete, you win. It's true. So I recommend looking at all those different opportunities that we can present with programs, products, and pricing here at Citizens Bank. The way that I handle most clients is going to be phone call. A 10-minute phone call can really evaluate where their footing is and where their position is in the standing, for being able to find out whether they're going to be able to save a little bit more and it's not today, or if we're able to put them into a financing program that meets their needs and can take advantage of, for example, today's buyer's market. Or if they already currently own, a refinance to save them on their monthly costs, or take cash out and maybe take advantage of the buyer's market and buy an investment property, or buy that upcharge, that second home that they've always been wanting to out in Pennsylvania or Connecticut or Westchester. These are all the different options that Citizens continuously is able to lend with and continuously able to finance along the way. You know, it's as simple as a phone call away for all of your financing needs. It's James.Kroll at Citizens Bank. So James.Kroll at Citizens Bank, or a cell phone, and it's always going to be available for you 100%. And why do I look at these different opportunities? Because we're able to look at where clients are and how happy they are at the end of a process. Well, at the end of a process, what does it matter? Well, it matters to be that you have a client that is happy as can be, first-time home buyers. We're able to get them into their home effectively in a 45-day period, and the smiles on the face say it all. So for excellent rates, excellent service, James.Kroll.